Welcome to Tracking the Week. On Monday, Senate President Godswill Akpabio distanced himself from a viral social media post linking him to comments allegedly mocking United States President Donald Trump over his recent threat of military action in Nigeria, describing the statements as completely fabricated, malicious and reckless. The clarification was contained in a statement issued in Abuja by Akpabio's Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Esemi Ayibo, following a post published by a social media platform known as RantHQ. The controversial post had quoted Akpabio as saying the killing is taking place in Nigeria, not in US. Trump should focus on US. Nigerians are not complaining about the killings, and we are fully satisfied with the condition of Nigeria. In his reactions, Akpabio's media office denied ever issuing such a statement, not publicly, privately, in writing, or in conversation. Still on Monday, there was heightened tension at the National Secretariat of People's Democratic Party as rival supporters of two factional leaders, Abdurrahman Mohammed and Iliya Damagum, converged on the premises. Mohammed arrived at the Secretariat earlier in the day, where he proceeded to address a crowd of loyal supporters who had gathered to welcome him. His entry marked a significant moment in the ongoing leadership tussle within the party. However, not long after, supporters of embattled National Chairman Damagum were sighted at the party headquarters. Their presence raised fears of a possible confrontation between the two groups. Security operatives quickly moved in to avert any clash. On Tuesday, a group of indigenous contractors handling federal projects stormed the National Assembly to protest non-payment of accumulated debt by the government. The protesters, carrying placards with various inscriptions, converged at the main entrance of the Assembly complex, chanting solidarity songs and demanding immediate payment for projects they said were completed over a year ago. The protest caused the closure of all exit and entry gates leading to the National Assembly, a development that led to heavy traffic congestion within and around the Assembly complex. Some contractors who spoke with journalists said they've completed projects such as school renovation and computer supplies over a year ago, but have not been paid. Also on Tuesday, Vice President Kashim Shettima departed Abuja for Brazil to represent President Bola Tinubu at the 30th session of the United Nations Climate Change Conference, titled COP30, scheduled to hold in the South American country. The summit, convened by Brazil's President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva in collaboration with other partners, held from November 6 to 7 in city of Belém, capital of the state of Pará, in the Brazilian Amazon. In a statement released by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Communications, Stanley Ikocha, said Vice President Shettima is built to join other world leaders, development partners, and business executives at the event themed Climate Action and Implementation, with a strong focus on adaptation, forest, biodiversity, and climate justice. On Wednesday, the federal government rejected the U.S. decision to list Nigeria as a country of concern, calling it unfair, misleading, and based on inaccurate information about the nation's security and religious freedom. Minister of Information and National Orientation Mohammed Idris said at a press conference in Abuja that the designation misrepresents Nigeria's internal security issues. He stressed that terrorism in Nigeria is driven by criminality, not religion, and affects both Muslims and Christians. Idris reaffirmed President Tinubu's commitment to protecting all citizens, upholding freedom of religion. He highlighted security gains since May 2023, including neutralization of over 13,500 terrorists, 17,000 arrests, 10,000 rescues, and the surrender of more than 124,000 insurgents. He noted that terrorist attacks are now at their lowest in over a decade, citing the Global Terrorism Index. Still on Wednesday, the House of Representatives threw its weight behind the campaign for increased women representation in governance, declaring support for the Constitution Alteration Bill, seeking to create special reserved seats for women in the National and State Houses of Assembly. The House Committee on Youth in Parliament led the campaign for the bill following its inauguration at an interactive session in Abuja, organized by the Legislative Advocacy Committee on Reserved Seats for Women Bill. Chaired by Honorable Olamiju Oluwalawakala, the committee was mandated to mobilize lawmakers, sensitize the public, and galvanize broad-based support for the proposed legislation. On Thursday, two newly appointed ministers, Bernard Doro and Kingsley Ode, were sworn in by President Bola Tinubu. The swearing-in, which took place inside the council chambers of the presidential villa shortly after the Senate confirmed Ode from Enugu. Ode replaced former minister Ochie Naji, who resigned following allegations that he forged his bachelor's degree and National Youth Service Corps certificate. Naji served as Minister of Science and Technology. Similarly, Doro from Plateau State replaced Ntawe Uwada, who was recently appointed chairman of ruling All Progressive Congress (APC). Uwada, a professor, previously served as Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction. Still on Thursday, the Nigerian Senate directed the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control (NAFDAC) not to extend the December 31, 2025 deadline for production of alcohol in sachet and small bottles. The resolution followed a motion of urgent national importance moved by Senator Asuko Ekpeyong during plenary. Basi warned that the continued sale and consumption of sachet and small bottle alcohol poses a rise in public health and social risk, especially among young Nigerians and commercial drivers. Lawmakers who contributed to the debate commended the motion, stressing the need for tighter control and early intervention to prevent addiction among youth. On Friday, President Bola Tinubu says Nigeria will decisively defeat terrorism, assuring that his administration is intensifying global diplomatic engagement and accelerating efforts to restore enduring peace and security across the country. The president made the declaration at the State House Abuja after he sworn in two newly appointed ministers from the Council of the Federal Executive Council (FEC) meeting. The president, who was responding to Nigeria's designation as a country of particular concern by the U.S., Donald Trump, and his accompanying threat of possible military action under the guise of protecting religious freedom, Tinubu affirmed that his administration is constructively engaging the international community through diplomatic means while remaining steadfast in his commitment to defeating terrorism and ensuring national stability. Lastly, on Friday, ahead of the Saturday's governorship election in Anambra State, the Deputy Inspector General of Police in Anambra governorship election, the IG Benjamin Okolo, has assured the people of the state of adequate security. The IG Okolo made the disclosure while speaking with elected journalists at police headquarters in Awka, the Anambra State capital. Speaking on the deployment of officers and men of the Nigerian police, the IG Okolo said that adequate deployment to ensure safety of all stakeholders have been made. He cautioned politicians to abide by the rules governing elections in Nigeria. And that's it on Track in the Week.